Did you know that Watchmen wasn't an adaptation, but a sequel to Alan Moore's graphic novel, set 34 years later? Damon Lindelof used the superhero framework to examine America's racial trauma with unprecedented depth. What started as masked police fighting white supremacists became a generational epic about how historical violence echoes through time. Episode 1. It's summer and we're running out of ice. The series opens with the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, showing a young black boy watching his community burn before cutting to 2019, where masked police battle the white supremacist 7th Cavalry. Angela Abar, operating as Sister Night, leads raids against terrorists who've adopted Rorschach's journal as their manifesto. The alternate timeline reveals a world where the Minutemen's legacy shaped American policing, with officers wearing masks to protect their identities from retaliation. Chief Judd Crawford's lynching disrupts this fragile peace, revealing deeper conspiracies within the police force itself. The episode establishes the show's central themes, how historical trauma resurfaces in new forms, and how symbols of justice can be corrupted by those who claim to uphold them. Angela's discovery of a Klan robe in Crawford's closet shatters her understanding of allies and enemies. Episode 2. Martial Feats of Comanche Horsemanship. Will Reeves's backstory reveals he was the original Hooded Justice, the first masked vigilante, contradicting the official history that portrayed him as white. The episode jumps between 1938 and 2019, showing how Will survived Tulsa as a child, only to face racist violence again as an adult New York police officer. His transformation into Hooded Justice wasn't heroic inspiration, but desperate survival against systemic oppression. The revelation that the Minutemen's founding member was a black man passing for white recontextualizes superhero history entirely. Angela's discovery of her family connection to Will through the memory drug nostalgia creates a direct link between historical and contemporary struggles. The episode demonstrates how trauma passes through generations, with each era finding new ways to perpetuate or resist cycles of violence. Will's survival and Angela's inheritance of his mission suggest that fighting injustice requires understanding its historical roots. Episode 3. She was killed by space junk. Laurie Blake arrives as an FBI agent investigating Tulsa's masked police, bringing federal skepticism to local vigilante justice. Her evolution from Silk Spectre to government agent shows how former heroes adapted to a world that moved beyond costumed crime fighting. Her relationship with Dr. Manhattan ended years ago, leaving her cynical about both heroism and romance with godlike beings. The episode explores Laurie's complicated relationship with her mother's legacy and her own heroic past, showing how the second generation of heroes struggled with their predecessors' idealism. Laurie's presence forces Angela to confront how her vigilante activities appear to outside observers, while her federal authority threatens the delicate balance that allowed masked police to operate. Episode 4. If you don't like my story, write your own. Lady Trieu emerges as a brilliant industrialist whose Vietnamese heritage connects to the alternate timeline's different Vietnam War outcome. Her purchase of Oklahoma farmland and construction of a mysterious tower suggests corporate power rivaling traditional heroics. Trieu's wealth and technology represent new forms of influence that don't require masks or government approval. The episode reveals Adrian Veidt's imprisonment on Europa, showing the architect of the squid attack facing cosmic justice for his utilitarian genocide. Trieu's adoption of Bian and her genetic manipulation projects suggest she's pursuing enhancement rather than justice, raising questions about who deserves power and how it should be used. Episode 5. Little Fear of Lightning. Looking Glass's backstory reveals how the 11/2 squid attack traumatized survivors and shaped their worldview. His reflective mask and underground bunker represent attempts to shield himself from future psychic attacks, while his work with the Rorschach test shows how he processes trauma through pattern recognition. The episode demonstrates how mass traumatic events create lasting psychological damage across entire populations. The revelation that the 7th Cavalry knows the squid was a hoax fundamentally changes the stakes, transforming them from deluded terrorists into informed conspirators seeking to expose Veidt's deception. Looking Glass's discovery of this truth through captured cavalry technology forces him to confront how his entire adult life was shaped by a lie designed to prevent nuclear war. Episode 6. This Extraordinary Being. This masterpiece episode uses the nostalgia drug to let Angela experience Will's memories directly, creating an unprecedented television narrative that jumps between past and present through shared consciousness. The full revelation of Hooded Justice's identity and his infiltration of the Cyclops conspiracy provides the series' emotional and thematic climax. Will's story shows how the first generation of heroes faced not just crime, but systemic racism that made them criminals in the eyes of law enforcement. His relationship with Captain Metropolis reveals the compromises required for interracial cooperation during Jim Crow, while his battle against the system Cyclops demonstrates how white supremacist organizations infiltrated legitimate institutions, including police forces. The Cyclops conspiracy's use of hypnotic films to incite racial violence shows how media manipulation can weaponize entertainment, while Will's defeat of their leadership demonstrates that individual action can disrupt systemic oppression. The episode establishes that understanding history is essential for breaking cycles of violence and achieving justice. Episode 7. An Almost Religious Awe. Veidt's trial on Europa reveals Dr. Manhattan's isolation and the clone servant's growing consciousness, while flashbacks show how Manhattan's godlike perspective led him to leave Earth. The episode explores themes of power, responsibility, and what beings owe to those they're capable of helping or harming. The clone servants' rebellion against their creator mirrors earthly themes about oppression and liberation, while their eventual sacrifice for Veidt's escape shows how power structures perpetuate themselves through the loyalty of the oppressed. The episode suggests that even cosmic justice requires human agency to implement meaningful change. Episode 8. A God Walks into Abar. The revelation that Cal is Dr. Manhattan in human form recontextualizes Angela's entire relationship and family life, showing how love can motivate even godlike beings to seek ordinary human connection. Manhattan's choice to experience linear time and emotional vulnerability demonstrates the appeal of limitation and mortality to immortal consciousness. The episode explores how interracial relationships function in a society still shaped by racial violence, with Manhattan's blue skin making him literally inhuman, while his love for Angela makes him emotionally human. Their relationship represents hope for connection across seemingly insurmountable differences. Episode 9. See How They Fly. The finale brings all storylines together as the 7th Cavalry attempts to steal Manhattan's powers, while Tria reveals her own plan to claim them for herself. The choice of Tulsa as the setting for this cosmic confrontation connects historical trauma to contemporary justice, showing how location shapes meaning. Will's final confrontation with the Cyclops leadership provides generational closure while demonstrating that justice sometimes requires personal sacrifice. Angela's choice to potentially inherit Manhattan's powers raises questions about who deserves godlike abilities and how they should be used. The series concludes with the possibility that Angela has gained Manhattan's abilities, suggesting that power might be transferred to someone whose personal experience of oppression could guide its use toward justice rather than domination. Watchmen proved that superhero stories could tackle America's deepest historical wounds with unprecedented sophistication and emotional truth. From the Tulsa Massacre to that final egg, it gave us 9 episodes that transformed entertainment into education and spectacle into healing. If you enjoyed this journey through masked justice and generational trauma, hit subscribe for more legendary TV breakdowns.